Any thoughts on XES, oil and gas services and equipment?
It's the most unloved, hated sector in the world. You know, the reality is it can be soul destroying. Well, no, we haven't bought XES. We've bought offshore oil service route. That's not just drillers. That's subsea services as well. Because we think that the land-based, which is primarily a shale base, is going to disappoint. Investing in individual stocks can be a soul destroying exercise.
Okay, the S&P Oil and Gas Equipment and Services ETF XES. Any thoughts on XES, oil and gas services and equipment? That's from Ronaldo 43. What do we mean by any?
Well, you see these questions.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, where do we go with this question? You know, what do you mean by any thoughts? Okay, well, here's some random thoughts. It's about, not that it's any news to folks, it's the most unloved, hated sector in the world. XES is oil services. XES is, I think it's 40 odd oil service companies, thereabouts, more or less equally weighted. So you get the performance of the average oil and gas service stock, as opposed to OIH, which is market cap weighted. So you get Schlumberger, Baker Hughes, Halliburton, essentially. A long-term bottom formation. Well, this is XES relative to the S&P 500. On a 5-year view, we think this will dramatically outperform the S&P 500. But hey, you know, you gotta wait 5 years. Hey, maybe it happens shorter than that. Who knows? We're not too worried. So there we are. If you're going to invest in this, lots of patience, folks.
Yeah, I buy this. I own this. It's just easy.
I think, look, it would be, Lucas, is that it's probably a very, very good for folks to invest in just a dumb ETF like this. Because you're not going to be, you know, let's say otherwise you go and buy 10 oil service stocks. You know, you'll have maybe Valaris, Transocean, you're going to have FTI, you're going to have a whole bunch of other little things that we've talked about. And some of those won't do so well. And then you'll be going, oh, what do I do about this one stock? Well, you know, in XES, there's a number of stocks that aren't doing so well. But you wouldn't worry about that because you just got this one, you got the market.
Yeah. The whole sector's not going away, right? So eventually.
Yep. So from a psychological perspective, most folks are probably better off with this ETF here, XES, than investing individually.
Or do both.
You know, the reality is it can be soul destroying. Well, no, we haven't bought XES. We've bought we've gone more down the offshore oil service route. That's not just drillers. That's subsea services as well. Because we think that the land-based, which is primarily a shale base, is going to disappoint. Investing in individual stocks can be a soul-destroying exercise, particularly for those who are not experienced and haven't got a constitution from hell, or aren't very good at putting their head in the sand. And for those folks, probably just buying an ETF like this is a great
yeah, because I imagine there's a whole cohort of insider members, and people can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat or agree, that like the ideas and the theses, but aren't glued to their screens and always looking for and want to manage their portfolio. And so this is why we recommend these things sometimes, because it's a set and forget sort of a thing. You know that you're covered on that theme by buying one thing. The risk is mitigated because you own a whole bunch of companies instead of a few, and you can sit back and not fiddle around with your portfolio. And
it protects clients from themselves.